Hello and welcome to the first of a series of guitar lessons that I'm going to do. I was a professional guitar teacher for many years, over 40 years. I'm now retired. Most of my videos I do these days are on the squeeze box, the Melodeon or the concertina, but I thought it might be nice to do some short tutorials on the guitar. After all, that is, the instrument that I probably play the best. When I first started playing when I was about 6, I suppose for about 10 years all I did was strum chords using a plectrum. And then I realised that there was another world out there waiting for me, a world of finger picking, fingerstyle. A friend of mine in sixth form showed me a few bits and pieces, and I bought a book by Roger Evans on how to do fingerstyle. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you 4 simple exercises which you'll find very useful for fingerstyle playing. If you want a nice gentle pattern for 4/4 songs that 4 beats the bar, really useful for simple folk songs, country songs. I'm going to make this really easy. You're going to dumb it right down. There are some charts for this that are available on my website, and I'll put the address on my screen now, and you can see what you have to do. Pretty straightforward. This is suitable for any 6-string guitar. I'm using this lovely Gibson Acoustic. It's a J200, made in 1980. It's got steel strings. It's strung in the conventional way, E, B, G, D, A and E. You could do this on a classical guitar, a guitar with nylon strings. You could do it on an electric guitar, but it's probably best on an acoustic guitar like this. I'm assuming before I do this lesson that you can tune your guitar up to normal pitch using a tuner. These days that's not so hard, is it? There's so many apps available on phones and iPads and things. I actually still use this good old Boss tuner, but there's loads of other alternatives out there. I'm also assuming you know how to play these 3 chords: D major, G major and A7. You don't have to finger them like I do, but you do need to be able to play those full versions of those chords, because what I'm going to show you today is going to work in a simple song in the key of D major, and those are the 3 principal chords in that key: D, G and A, or A7. You could play A if you prefer, but I think A7 works just as well. So exercise number 1, you're going to start off with the D chord. It looks like this: D major. We tend to just call it D, but its proper name is D major. I'm going to strum the strings. That's what it sounds like. By the way, on that chord, you should not strum the bass E string. You can strum these 5, but not the thickest E string, the one nearest to you as you look down on your guitar. So this is exercise number 1, and I would recommend that you download that and print it out. And it's set out like a database, like a chart. So for each chord, you've got the name of the chord, what you count for the pattern, what strings you play, and what your picking hand does. By the way, you need to know that for the picking hand, I use the classical terms. So P is thumb, I is index finger, and M is middle finger. And if I use it, A, that is the ring finger, but I'm not going to use that in these patterns. Just going to use the thumb, P, the index finger, I, and the middle finger, M. Okay, that's my picking hand. If you're left-handed, obviously you'll reverse everything I'm saying. I'm right-handed, so I'm assuming you are as well, but obviously if you're left-handed, don't worry, this will work just as well. So holding down your D chord, the first thing you're going to do is play the 4th string with your thumb. So if you look down the chart, it says chord D, count 1, that's the first beat of the bar, string number 4, played with the thumb. Now, you can play the string with your thumb pushing downwards, and you can rest on the next string down if you want, or you can just play the string and rise up free of the guitar like that. The way you hold your hand is quite important, because you're going to do that kind of a style. Getting your picking hand in the correct position is very important. I tend to kind of lean on the body of the guitar. I don't know if you can see that. Get my hand out of the way. With my little fingers, I use it as a kind of a prop, kind of an anchor. And then my fingers, all the way through these exercises, I'm going to play string number 1, the thinnest E string, the high-pitched E string, with my second finger, finger M, and the second string with my first finger, finger I. And when I pick those strings, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try and angle this a bit. When I pick just slightly, it's kind of that part of the finger. I don't come up like this. It's not exactly square on, it's at a slight angle, and when I pick the string I rise up free of the guitar. It's not like a classical technique where you pluck the string and rest on the next string up, not a rest stroke, it's a free stroke. So there's finger 2, there's finger 1, picking the strings in the right way, and the thumb obviously pushes down. So the first thing that we're going to do is play string number 4, holding down our D chord with our thumb. Now look along the chart, and it's string number 3. It says P underneath, so thumb again. So string number 3 with the thumb. So you've got string number 4, string number 3. The next item in our pattern is string number 2, picked by the index finger, and we then return to the 4th string with the thumb. We then pick the first string with the middle finger, and we end up by picking the 4th string with the thumb. So in strings it's 4, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3. 4, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3. And you can hear I'm already putting it in its kind of musical pattern, counting 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Now when you're counting in 4 beats the bar or in any time signature, the on beats are immovable. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can't move. So if you've got notes that come off the beat, not on those on beats, you have to provide some way of counting those, and I say the word and. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So the first note you play lasts for the whole of beat 1. The next note that you play, string number 3, lasts for the first half of beat 2, and the next string you play, string 2, lasts for the second half of beat 2 on the and count. And then the next string, string number 4, lasts for half of beat 3, and the next string you play, string number 1, lasts for the second half of beat 3, and then the very last string you play in the pattern, string number 3, lasts for the whole of beat 4. So you count 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. And you can see your thumb is playing 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So on beats 1 and 3 you are playing string number 4, and that's your kind of main bass line, isn't it? Like that. But just take that out. Put the other notes back in. Like that. And that's a really nice little pattern, isn't it? And obviously, depending on how many bars your chord is going to last for in your song, you just keep repeating that pattern. You'll very quickly find out if you're holding your chord down properly. If you're not, you'll get this. You hear that horrible buzzing noise. So it's a very harsh examination of your left hand technique, whether you're pressing and arching. I've cut my fingernails this morning, nice and short and clean. Don't forget, basic stuff, make sure your fingers are pressing the strings down close to the frets. I used to think when I was a child they were supposed to be in the middle between the 2 frets, but of course that's not right. You should try and get as close to the frets without touching the frets as you can. Arch your fingers, keep your fingernails short. Some people pick with their fingernails. I don't particularly like that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I tend to keep my fingernails short on both hands and pick with the backs of my fingers and the thumb. Okay, so that's the D chord sorted out. Let's move down the chart to the G chord. We're going to do exactly the same thing, but this time we're going to play string number 6 instead of string number 4. So the strings we're going to pick are 6, 3, 2, 6, 1, 3. 6, 3, 2, 6, 1, 3. So the only thing that's changed is instead of playing string number 4, we're playing string number 6. And incidentally, string number 4 with the D chord is the note D. It's open D strings. That's an obvious bass note for your D chord. String number 4, open D, the note of D. So with the G chord, we've got our finger behind the 3rd fret of the bass E string. If I was just to play that string, 3rd fret of that E string is the note G. So root note G for a G chord makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So we're picking 6, 3, 2, 6, 1, 3. So the thumb's got to travel a bit further, from 6 over to 3. Okay? So in these patterns, the thumb is moving like this. There it is for the D, 4 and 3. For the G, it's 6 and 3. Apart from that, everything is the same. And when we go to the A7 chord, if you're not sure how to do an A7, it's the 2nd fret of the D and the 2nd fret of the B. I use fingers 1 and 3. Some people use 2 and 3 or 1 and 2. You know, there's no hard and fast rule, whatever works for you. And this time, we're going to make 5 our bass note. That's obvious, isn't it? Because the open 5th string is A, 5, 3, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 3, 2, 5, 1, 3. So the thumb is going from 5 to 3, backwards and forwards like that. So let's do 2 lots of the D, 2 lots of the G, 2 lots of the A7 and 2 lots of the D. And you can hear that's a lovely pattern. I'm playing it slowly there, you can speed it up. And that sounds really good, wouldn't it? And that's a nice light accompaniment, especially for singing. A lot of people make this mistake, and I used to make it when I was a child, of thrashing the chords, trying to sing over the top of that, and of course nobody could hear you singing. So it's a really good way to get a nice balance between your voice and you're picking. People like Ralph McTell, James Taylor, they're really good at this, aren't they? Picking the strings, singing over the top, and you'll find that's a lovely balance. When you're strumming, you very often have got to strum very lightly, otherwise you will drown your singing out. If somebody said to you, can you play a Clawhammer style? And that's what this is. So that's the first exercise, exercise 1. Have a look at the exercise 2 now. This is another sheet that you can download and print out. And there's not very much difference with this one. It says exercise 2, 1st and 5th bass clawhammer. So in exercise 1, we were just playing a single bass note, 4 like that. See? This time we're going to go 4, then 5. Can you hear that? So instead of playing the 4th string twice, we're going to play the 4th string and then the 5th string when it comes to where you would normally play the 4th string again, play the 5th string. In this way you've got what we call a 1st and 5th bass line. If you're a bass player, dum, 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 you've heard that a million times of course, and that's what you're doing on the guitar here. So everything else is the same, and obviously the 5th string will be played with your thumb. Letter P is written underneath that to remind you. So in picking, it's exactly the same. Thumb, thumb, index finger, thumb, middle finger, thumb. Then when you go to the G chord, of course, you're already on the note G. You haven't got another string you can go, dum, you can't drop down, so you come up. You come up to the note D, which is the open 4th string. So the bass notes this time are 6 and 4. Same idea though, 6, 3 2 4 1 3, 6 3 2 4 1 3. And for A7 you can do the same as you did for the D. You can go from the 5 down to the 6 for your dum dum. You can hear you've got that lovely dum dum. Picking's the same. So let's do exercise 2. Let's play that through for you. That's slightly more complicated. It's a little bit more interesting to listen to. But the exercise 1 is absolutely fine if you want to stick with that. You don't have to stick to D, G and A7, but I'm just showing it on these chords because it's a fairly straightforward chord sequence to work with. So a couple of clawhammer exercises, and there's lots of other things we can do with this, and we can get into that in subsequent lessons. I'm going to show you something slightly different now, which is called pattern picking. Similar sort of idea. You'll need to download the sheet for this. It's called Exercise 3, Pattern Picking Single Bass. This is what we're looking for. Now, on the D chord, this time I'm picking these strings. 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. So it's 4, 2, 3, 1 non-stop. Like before, the thumb's dealing with the 4 and the 3. The index finger is picking the second string and the middle finger is picking the first string. And we count a non-stop pattern of quavers. We count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On the G chord, 6, 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 1. On the A7 chord, 5, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1. I've put the final 1 in the string column in brackets because you may not be able to get it in if you want to make the change to the chord on time. Let's have a listen to this exercise. It's worth noticing that when you change from A7, if you're using the third finger on the second string, when you want to change to D, you can simply slide that finger up from behind the second fret to behind the third fret. It's a little bit of a trick there for you. Now, that's a nice pattern, isn't it? So that's lovely, as it says, a pattern that gets repeated. Now, a good little trick with this is to accent one of the strings like this. You can hear that I'm bringing out that first string. Here it is unaccented. Now I'm going to put the accent in. Again, that thumb is moving from 4 to 3 for the D, 6 to 3 for the G, 5 to 3 for the A7. And of course, just like with the first exercise, we can do a first and fifth bass line for this. So if you print out exercise 4, we'll do the same thing, but with a first and a fifth bass line. So we're going to go on the D chord, 4, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1. For the G, 6, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. And for the A7, 5, 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 1. See? So have a listen to it on the D. So again, the bass is doing 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3. On the G chord, it's doing 6, 3, 4, 3, 6, 3, 4, 3. And on the A7, it's doing 5, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3. And of course, you can still put that accent in on string 1 if you want. So there we are. I'm going to stop there. It's a lot to take in. If you've never done any finger picking before, you probably will find this a bit tricky. It's quite hard on your fingers. If you look at my fingers, I've got some fairly impressive dents in there. I have to be honest and say I haven't played my guitar much for the last few weeks, so my fingers are feeling a bit sore. There's no magic formula to this. You need to play a lot to toughen your fingertips up. Obviously don't play until they're really red, raw and sore. Once they start to hurt, don't go on too much beyond that, but regular practice will toughen your fingertips up so that it doesn't hurt. Obviously a steel string guitar is quite tough on the fingers. This is a really good quality guitar, so the action, so that means the strings are near the fretboard. If you've got a very cheap guitar or a guitar that's not set up properly and the strings are high up above the fingerboard, that's called a high action, you'll find this even harder. If you've got a guitar with nylon strings, you might find that a little bit kinder to your poor fingers. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.